Okay. Wait a minute. There we go. Okay. So today we're going to continue reading from Unshakable Spirit, number 19. The window frame hurts too. A winsome mother and child. This happened once when I was riding a train on my way to give a speech. The car interior was spacious and quiet, with many unfilled seats. Feeling relaxed, I spread myself out and opened up a book I'd brought along. After a while, tired from reading and lulled by the rhythmical vibrations of the train, I began to nod off, only for my dreams to be shattered by an ear-splitting whistle and the metallic screech of brakes. Apparently, the driver had found an obstruction of some kind at a crossing. The shock of the sudden stop threw me forward, but I managed somehow to stay upright. In the same instant, the shrill sobs of a little child rang out. I saw then that the seats across the aisle in front of me were occupied by a young mother and her child, who had apparently been amusing himself by sitting with his forehead pressed against the window pane, watching the scenery fly by. When the train jerked to a stop, the tot's head banged sharply into the window frame. His wails grew louder and more frantic. Afraid he was hurt, I jumped up, but to my relief, there was no sign of injury. Then I witnessed a scene so heartwarming that I was deeply touched. As the child's pain lessened, he gradually quieted down while his mother rubbed his head reassuringly and murmured soothing words. Sweetheart, that must really hurt. I'm so sorry. I'll rub it off for you and make the pain go away. But you know, you weren't the only one who got hurt. The poor window frame did too. Let's rub it and make it feel better, shall we? The tot nodded, and sure enough, he and his mother together began to pat the window frame. I felt ashamed of myself, for I had assumed she would say something more on these lines. That must really hurt. I'm so sorry. It's all the fault of this naughty window frame. Let's spank it and teach it a lesson, shall we? Such a scene is common enough, giving a toddler a vent for his rage and allowing the moment to pass. All too often, when faced with difficulties, we cope by searching for someone else to blame for our suffering. Perhaps, I reflected, we parents implant this response in our children without meaning to. The child is father of the man, goes the saying, and surely parents have enormous influence in shaping the character of small children. People who think only of themselves and cannot empathize with others end in the darkness. The act of making others happy itself brings happiness. Those who would set their sights on the Pure Land must keep to the high road of benefiting others as well as themselves. I left the train wishing true happiness to that mother and child with all my heart. Yeah, so uh, it's a great story, a great reminder as the story goes that we often cope in our daily life by searching for someone else to blame for our suffering. Uh, in a sense, taking away the responsibility from what we're feeling and what we, how we deal with our emotions. Uh, Sometimes it might seem easier to project that or throw that onto someone else. But here we're being taught that, if we bring in compassion and recognize whatever the circumstances or the conditions, recognize our responsibility in them, we're able to bring in that sense of compassion, right? Something that, um, as we're listening to the Dharma, we begin to cultivate. As we continue to attune our ears to the Dharma, we slow down our mind, we become more aware, and with that, we become more aware of what we're feeling, how we're feeling, and how our words and our actions can impact those around us, even impact situations. So just as the story here, it's a great example, recognizing that the mother has such an influence on the child to either own their emotion and also recognize the impact that their emotion can have on the situation. As she goes to say, the window was also hurt, and in a way teaches the child about compassion. Similarly, we can do that with ourselves, right? If we were to take the mother, or you pick if it's for yourself, as a man, and the child, recognizing that that's the child within us. Right? Sometimes we act out of emotion, and we need to ask ourselves, is this myself right now, or is this the child within me? And what do I need to teach it, or what do I need to let it know how it's having an impact? Because quite often we don't have that awareness, right? But for us that are here listening to Dharma, continuing to go to our meetups and listening to the webinars, we began to attune our ear and cultivate that awareness so that we can listen to our inner child's needs. It can come out as, as an emotion. It could come out as a thought, or as an action, and recognizing where that's coming from and why we might react, or why we might react instead of responding, can let us know, well, what do I need to recognize in this moment? Just like the mother is recognizing for the child not only their pain, but also the impact of their emotion. And so it's a great story to remind us of the times that we also have ownership over how we react versus how we respond. And if we continue aligning our minds and our hearts with the Dharma, and with Buddha, we can then come from a place of being our own parents, right? Our own mothers, our own fathers, so that we can bring in a dose of that compassion in any situation, any condition that comes our way. So that is our story for today. Thank you for listening. Great job, everyone. Have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.